Okay. Hello, gorgeous ones. Gorgeous ones. I'm so sorry. I'm a few minutes late this morning. Now, here's something interesting just for a little analogy. So I am on my laptop and it's look, it's not that old, but it's old by laptop standards. So it's maybe 3 or 4 years old. And it always does this thing where it's starting to get slow. And a lot of it is because there's too much junk in there. There's just old files. I've done a bit of a clean out, but it still gets stuck. And I often think it's a bit like us. When we accumulate clutter around us, we start to get a bit slow and bogged down in stuff that's unimportant. So, I guess a couple of things I'm going to have to do, which is do the great clutter clean out, which is a little like the great pantry clean out when you go in and redo your pantry and recognize that there's actually a whole heap of stuff in there that A, you don't use, or B, is out of date, in which case, get rid of it. Get rid of it so that when you open your pantry, it's easy. Good morning, Lou. Good morning, Sue. I hope you're all having wonderful, wonderful mornings. I'm clearly on my way to work. Now, for all of you beautiful people who are watching, if you're doing the No Sugar Challenge, you will have got an email to remind you tonight we have our first masterclass on. If you're not doing the Sugar Challenge and you would like to come to one of our masterclasses, Dr. Mary is running one on Monday night, and you can go to our website, rlmedicine.com, to see it. Good morning, Karen. So today's little tip, it's Thursday. So this week is all about sugar and getting rid of sugar and remembering that sugar includes both sweet and savory sugars. Now, what I want to talk to you about is a little bit about starch, and there is some nuances with starch that we need to be mindful of. So with starch, as we've talked about, is chains of glucose joined together. Now, when those chains need to be broken down in order for our body to be able to absorb them as glucose, like we do with sweet, like with sugar. So remember, sugar, like table sugar, sucrose, is just one molecule of glucose and one molecule of fructose, easy for the body to absorb. But when you've got giant chains, it's a little harder. So two things happen. First of all, some of it is cleaved off into simple sugars, which is why some of these carbohydrates, these savory sugars, upregulate, like put our blood glucose up. So for those of you who perhaps have type 2 diabetes or who have ever worn a monitor, you will know that when you're eating savory sugars, your blood glucose will still go up. Now, here's where the little nuances come in. Some of these long chains of carbohydrates do not get broken down that easily. In fact, they don't get broken down at all in the stomach and in your small intestine. They stay as multi chains of glucose. And that's what's called starch, and sometimes even fiber is just that. Now, what happens then is it can get broken down into our large bowel, and it doesn't get converted, it doesn't get absorbed as glucose. It gets absorbed as short chain fatty acids. Weird, isn't it? So glucose by the gut bacteria will ferment and be converted to short chain fatty acids, which actually our colons love. So that's what's called the resistant starches and fiber. Now, here's where I really want to just get clear. Manufactured fiber, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday and in the cooking show, it is not the fiber that comes with vegetables. It's not the fiber that comes with even whole grains like rice and things like that. It is the fiber that is added into processed products, often called things like polydextrin, even dextrin, sorbitol. They're what are often added in, even inulin, they're added in, and it makes the nutritional panel look very good. But they don't behave in the same way that whole food fiber behaves. And what they will often do is go to our big gut, our colon, and they ferment like crazy, which is why people get bloated and gassy and have often what they think is irritable bowel. And it's not, it is just too much manufactured fiber into our bowel. Yes. It all comes down to, our biggest belief at Real Life Medicine. You hear us say it all the time, is to eat your food in its most natural form most of the time. Now, again, we know, we're not, we've got busy lives. We're not out hunting and gathering. We know that. But if the majority of the time you can eat your food and get all your nutrition in its entirety, so the least processed form available, your body will thank you. So many things. Reminds me of that. Do you remember that cartoon, Milton the Monster? 2 drops of whatever it went, and it was meant to make a human, and out comes Milton. It's like that. So on paper, it ticks all the boxes. It'll get all the health stars, but actually in vitro, in what it does to your body, it's not the same. It's not the same. And yes, I think, Jacinta, there is stuff that is unhelpful for our microbiome. And if you're talking specifically about inulin, it's tricky. Certainly, there's evidence that a lot of the processed things like maltodextrin. So maltodextrin is one of these processed, because this is all done in a factory, the processing of these carbohydrates to add fake fiber, and it's all to do with mouthfeel of processed foods. You won't have a problem with these products or these chemicals if you eat your food as it's meant to be. But because manufacturers are very, very clever and they're spending time making food they spend billions testing mouth feel, smell, touch, crunch, texture, all of those things. They add 2 drops of secret, and then they get the bonus of going, yay, and it ticks my boxes for the health stars. It doesn't tick your boxes for your body stars. It just doesn't. So, whilst we would always say, you don't need to be perfect, you do need to go in, though, with your eyes wide open on what you are consuming. Don't rely on processed products with their fancy labeling on the front to give you health advice. The most favorite thing that people with processed products like to write is healthy. I saw this morning on an ad for some lollipops. So they're sugar free. And then they're actually, sugar free doesn't actually mean healthy. They've then gone on to write the healthy lollipop. And then they start to talk about health claims. There's nothing healthy in that product. There is nothing healthy. It may not be as harmful as sugar, but lack of harm does not imply increased health. And I think that's where we've got to be very mindful. I always look and go, right, you've got neutral, you've got harmful, and then you've got stuff that's actually good for us, which is our whole foods, things that have got protein, things that have got a little bit of healthy fats. Again, carbohydrates, people go, oh, no carbs. Again, it depends on the type. Okay. There are carbohydrates in all of our vegetables, and the above ground, beautiful, colorful vegetables have lots of good things in them, lots of vitamins, lots of minerals, and for some of us, enough fiber that doesn't cause bloating. So there we go. That's the end of my rant. I am very much looking forward to the masterclass tonight for the people doing the No Sugar Challenge, and for those of you who are in different time zones. As you know, I'm running another one tomorrow at 10 a.m. Or for those of you in Australia who don't want to, or busy tonight or don't want to do nighttime classes, you can come tomorrow morning at 10. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow morning. I'm off to work today, so I better skedaddle. Have the most beautiful, wonderful day, and just remember, low carb, real food is your key to successful, healthy living. Bye, darlings.